Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Understanding Business 2024. Bonus Chapter B. Narrated by Omar Mohsen Ibrahim Fouad. Using technology to man-age information. Page 579. Bonus Chapter B. Using technology to man-age information. Page 579. Learning objectives. After you have read and studied this chapter, you should be able to B. 1. Outline the changing role of business technology. List the types of business information, identify the characteristics of useful information, and discuss how data is stored and analyzed. Compare the scope of the internet, intranets, extranets, and virtual private networks, and explain how broadband technology and 5G enabled the evolution to Web 2.0 and 3.0. Explain the differences between LAN and WAN, and discuss the benefits and drawbacks of cloud computing. Evaluate the human resource security, privacy, and stability issues affected by information technology. Page 580, Getting to know Eric Yuan, founder and CEO of Zoom. The word Zoom gained a whole new meaning during the pandemic as millions of people remained at home looking for ways to connect in a socially distant world. Many stayed in touch thanks to Zoom, the video communication company that provided an affordable and reliable platform for everything from meetings to virtual birthday parties and weddings. Bringing people together like this was always the goal for founder Eric Yuan, who launched Zoom in 2011 in order to create the most accessible communication software possible. I still remember that in the early days of Zoom, sometimes I'd look at a screen literally for 1 hour without doing anything, thinking about how to simplify the user interface, said Yuan. To add a feature is easy, but to simplify is so hard. Searching for solutions to technical problems has been a fascination of Yuan's since an early age. The son of geological engineers, he grew up in the Shandong province of China, where he cultivated his entrepreneurial spirit by collecting scraps of copper from local mines to recycling for extra cash. After discovering that his customers would pay more for pure pieces of metal, he tried to melt away scraps of excess material, only to start a fire behind his neighbor's house. My parents were really upset, said Yuan. This burning desire, pun intended, to start a business followed him to college, where he studied applied mathematics and computer science. While Yuan was a first-year student, he would frequently take 10-hour train rides to visit his girlfriend, who would soon become his wife. I detested those rides and used to imagine other ways I could visit my girlfriend without traveling. Those daydreams eventually became the basis for Zoom, said Yuan. Taking inspiration from successful moguls like Bill Gates, Yuan felt that Silicon Valley would be the best place to turn his technology. Taking inspiration from successful moguls like Bill Gates, Yuan felt that Silicon Valley would be the best place to turn his technological fantasies into reality. Despite possessing both a bachelor's and master's degree, however, he had an extremely difficult time obtaining a work visa after making a mistake on his first application. Skeptical immigration authorities denied him entry over and over. I continued to apply again and again over the course of 2 years and finally received my visa on the 9th try, said Yuan. Arriving in California at last in 1997, he had trouble speaking English, but he could write computer code, landing him an engineering job with the video conferencing company WebEx. One of the first dozen employees at the company, Jan helped build WebEx into a successful firm that would be sold to Cisco Systems a decade later. He rose to the rank of vice president at the tech giant when, in 2011, he pitched an idea for a smartphone-friendly video conferencing system. After Cisco rejected his proposal, though, Jan took it as a sign that it was time to strike out on his own and make his previous dreams come true. When I started Zoom, I started to connect the dots, said Jan. It's like, wow, I thought about that before, but the technology was not ready. But the idea was there. By 2012, Zoom launched the first version of its video chat platform, gathering 1 million users less than a year later. The company reached a $1 billion valuation in 2017, followed by a massively successful IPO in 2019 that made Jan a billionaire. Still, Zoom's biggest success came with the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Professionals and regular people alike were desperate for ways to stay in contact during the chaos, and Zoom gave them a free, dependable platform they could connect on. Usage of the service grew exponentially from December 2019 to April 2020. Zoom's daily meeting participants ballooned from 10 million to 300 million. The company capitalized on this success by expanding its services to paying customers while also refining features for its free version, ensuring that people will always have a place to meet online. Because of many years of hard work and also the pandemic crisis, customers understand that Zoom is a great company that truly helps people connect, said Jan. As industry leaders like Eric Jan and tech companies continue to change the face of the digital landscape, it's possible that even the most entrenched technologies could become obsolete in a few years. In this chapter, you'll learn about how this ever-changing tech world affects business. Matt Winkelmeyer and Getty Images Entertainment and Getty Images. Page 581, named that company, technology has improved communication and information tremendously, but it also increased problems with personal information being stolen by hackers. This company reported that more than 3 billion accounts were compromised when hackers breached its site and stole personal information. Name that company, find the answer in the chapter. The role of information technology, LOB-1, outlined the changing role of business technology. The importance of business knowledge is nothing new. What is newer is the recognition of the need to manage it like any other asset. To manage knowledge, a company needs to share information efficiently throughout the organization and to implement systems for creating new knowledge. This need is constantly leading to new technologies that support the exchange of information among staff, suppliers, and customers. Studies have shown that data-driven decision-making, i.e., important example, collecting data, analyzing it, and using it to make crucial decisions like whether to create a new product or service, can lift productivity higher than decision-making based solely on experience and intuition. Evolution from data processing to business intelligence. To understand technology today, it is helpful to review how we got here. In the 1970s, business technology was known as data processing, DP. Although many people use the words data and information interchangeably, they mean different things. Data is raw, unanalyzed, and unorganized facts and figures. Information is processed and organized data that managers can use for decision-making. The primary purpose of data processing was to improve the flow of financial information. Data processing employees or support staff who rarely came in contact with customers. Instead, they were more likely to spend their time sorting information into database. An electronic storage file or information. An electronic storage file for information. In the 1980s, business technology became known as Information Systems (IS) when it moved out of the back room and into the center of the business. Its role changed from supporting the business to doing business. Customers began to interact with a wide array of technological tools, from automated teller machines, ATMs, to voicemail. As business increased its use of information systems, it became more dependent on them. Until the late 1980s, business technology was just an addition to the existing way of doing business. Keeping up to date was a matter of using new technology on old methods. But things started to change when business applied to new technology. But things started to change when businesses applied new technology to new methods. Business technology then became known as information technology (IT), and its role became to change business by sorting, retrieving, and sending information efficiently. In the 1990s, the introduction of the internet changed the way that people interacted with one another and information. Online services such as Google offered a new way of accessing information. In addition, Bluetooth technology created conveniences by providing wireless communication systems to replace cables that typically connected devices, thus freeing people to access information wherever they wanted. In the 2000s, as this technology became more sophisticated, it became better known as business technology. In the 2000s, as this technology became more sophisticated, it became better known as business intelligence (BI) or analytics. BI, business intelligence, refers to a variety of software applications used to analyze an organization's raw data and derive useful insights from it. BI, business intelligence, activities include data mining, which we discuss later in this chapter, online analytical process, curing, and reporting. Knowledge is information charged with enough intelligence to make it relevant and useful. Knowledge technology adds a layer of intelligence to filter appropriate information and deliver it when it is needed. Page 582, Smith Collection and Gatto and Getty Images. To use the Amazon Echo smart speaker, all you have to do is say Alexa, and then follow up with a command to play music, check the weather, or even order groceries. Amazon initially anticipated that lots of customers would use the Echo to purchase products, a prediction that failed to come true over the years. As a result, the Alexa division has lost billions of dollars for the company. Why do you think customers are reluctant to use the Echo to buy products through Amazon? BI, business intelligence, changed the traditional flow of information. Instead of an individual going to the database comes to the individual. Managers can put a new employee at a workstation using BI, business intelligence training software, and let the system take over everything from laying out a checklist of the tasks required on a shift to providing answers and insights that once would have taken up a supervisor's time. BI, business intelligence, helps business people focus on what's important, deciding how to react to problems and opportunities. For example, imagine you're a sales rep who just closed a big deal. While you celebrate your success, the finance department is upset because your customer never pays on time, which costs the company a lot of money. BI, business intelligence, could provide you that insight. BI, business intelligence, could provide you that insight so that you could negotiate different payment terms with the customer, thus connecting sales activity to financial requirements in a seamless process. Technology changes react with one another to create more change. Maintaining the flexibility to successfully integrate these changes is crucial to business survival. For instance, Kodak once dominated the camera industry but failed to compete effectively and lost market share. Even though it invented the first digital camera, the company was concerned that digital photography would eat into its traditional film business. So Kodak decided to continue focusing on film rather than digital cameras. a decision that eventually led to the company's bankruptcy. Despite its size and money, Kodak wasn't flexible enough to adapt to changing trends. In 2013, a much smaller Eastman Kodak emerged from the bankruptcy ashes and now produces chemicals and imaging for business. Knowledge sharing is at the heart of keeping pace with change. Of course, it can be difficult to predict which new technologies will be successful. For a fun look at the worst tech predictions of all time, see figure B.1. Page 583, figure B.1. The worst tech predictions of all time. You can't be right all the time. Here are a few quotes from technology leaders who got it wrong, way wrong. Television won't be able to hold onto any markets it captures after the first 6 months. People will soon get tired of starting a plywood box every night. Daryl Zanuck, executive at 20th Century Fox, 1946. I predict the internet will soon go spectacularly supernova and in 1996 catastrophically. I predict the internet will soon go spectacularly supernova and in 1996 catastrophically collapse. Robert Metcalfe, founder of 3Com, 1995. Inventions have long since reached their limit, and I see no hope for future developments. Roman engineer Julius Sextus Frontinus, 10 AD. This telephone has too many shortcomings to be seriously considered as a means of communication. Western Union Internal Memo, 1876. I think there is a world market for maybe 5 computers. Thomas Watson, president of IBM, 1943. Do not bother to sell your gas shares. The electric light has no future. Professor John Henry Pepper, scientist, 1870s. Who the hell wants to hear actors talk? H.M. Warner, Warner Brothers, 1927. There is no reason anyone would want a computer in their home. Ken Olsen, founder of Digital Equipment Corporation, 1977. Remote shopping, while entirely feasible, will flop. Time, 1966. Obviously, the role of the IT staff has changed as technology itself has improved and evolved. The Chief Information Officer, CIO, has moved out of the back room and into the boardroom, and now spends less time worrying about keeping systems running and more time finding ways to boost business by applying technology to purchasing decisions, operational strategy, and marketing and sales. Today, the role of the CIO is to help the business use technology to communicate better with others while offering better service and lower costs. How information technology changes business, time, and place have always been at the center of business. After all, customers once had to visit a business during certain hours to satisfy their needs. For example, people shopped at department stores when they needed to buy clothes. They went to the bank to deposit checks and arrange for a loan. Businesses decided when and where they did business. Businesses decided when and where they did business with customers. Today, IT allows businesses to deliver goods and services whenever and wherever the customer wants them. You can order books and clothes, arrange a home mortgage loan, or even buy a car online anytime you choose. Consider how IT has changed the entertainment industry. For decades, people had to go to movie theaters if they wanted to see a movie. Then televisions became widely available and created the home video market. Rental outlets like Blockbuster soon began to hold a lot of sway over the industry, but their dominance disappeared with the rise of the internet. Now consumers don't have to leave the couch when they want to watch a movie. Video on demand from satellite cable or streaming services allows today's film buffs to watch movies whenever they want across video on demand from satellite video on demand from satellite cable or streaming services allows today's film buffs to watch movies whenever they want across a wide variety of devices. As IT broke time and location barriers, it created new organizations and services that are independent of location. For example, NASDAQ, see Chapter 19, is an electronic stock exchange without trading floors where buyers and sellers make trades by computer. Although the exchange started small, it is now home to approximately 4,000 listings valued at $19 trillion. Smartphones, laptops, and tablets also grant you access to people and information as if you were in the office. That independence brings work to people instead of people to work. The way people do business drastically changes when companies increase their technological capabilities. Electronic communications can provide substantial time savings. Email and texting have put an end to tedious games of telephone tag and are far faster than paper-based correspondence. Communicating on platforms like Slack allows team members to work on common documents without time-consuming meetings. See Figure B.2 for other examples of how information technology is changing business. Page 584. Figure B.2, how information technology is changing business. This table shows a few ways that information technology is changing businesses, their employees, suppliers, and customers. Organization technology is breaking down corporate barriers, allowing functional departments or product groups, including factory workers, to share critical information instantly. Operations technology shrinks cycle times, reduces defects, and cuts waste. Service companies use technology to streamline ordering and communication with suppliers and customers. Staffing technology eliminates layers of management and cuts the number of employees. Companies use computers and telecommunication equipment to create virtual offices with employees in various locations. New products information technology cuts development cycles by feeding customers and marketing New products information technology cuts development cycles by feeding customer and marketing comments to Information technology cuts development cycles by feeding customer and marketing comments to product. Information technology cuts development cycles and Information technology cuts development cycles by feeding customer and marketing comments to product development teams quickly so that they can revive products and target specific customers. Customer relations. Customer service representatives can solve customers' problems instantly by using company-wide databases to complete tasks from changing addresses to adjusting bills. Information gathered from customer service interactions can further strengthen customer relations. New markets. Since it is no longer necessary for customers to walk down the street to get to stores, online businesses can attract customers to whom they wouldn't otherwise have access. Technology skills all office workers need, regardless of what field you work in, whether in design, sales, marketing, management, or another area. You will be expected to manipulate and analyze data and then display the results in a compelling presentation. As remote work has become common, you will need to know the advanced features of online communication. You'll need to know more than the basics of Microsoft Word and Excel and how to log on to Zoom. According to employers, staffing agencies, consultants, educators, and others surveyed, the technology skills office workers need today include According to employers, staffing agencies, consultants, educators, and others surveyed, the technology skills office workers need today include the ability to make sense of data using apps such as Microsoft's Power BI, Business Intelligence, and Salesforce Tableau. Create compelling presentations using advanced features of apps such as Excel, Sheets, Word, Google Docs, PowerPoints, and Google Slides. Manage communication using advanced features of Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, Salesforce's Slack, as well as efficiently managing email, i.e., important example, curate lists, send mass mailings, etc. Manage projects using task management, time tracking, and file sharing apps such as Asana, Trello, ClickUp, and Smartsheet. Use best cybersecurity practices for protecting digital assets and sensitive information. This includes understanding how to create strong passwords, recognize phishing attempts, and follow security protocols. Use critical thinking and problem-solving skills. This includes troubleshooting technical issues, finding solutions to software or hardware problems, and applying critical thinking skills to evaluate and solve tech-related challenges. Adapt to new technologies. This includes keeping up with the latest trends and developments in their industry and being willing to acquire new skills as needed. Page 585. In addition to the tech skills all workers need, tech workers need more advanced skills. In addition to the tech skills all workers need, tech workers need more advanced skills. Overall, these specific tech skills needed can vary depending on the industry, job role, and level of expertise. According to the online learning platform Coursera, the fastest growing job skills are e-commerce, customer success tools, search engine optimization, SEO, customer relationship management, CRM software, back-end web development. Test prep. How has the role of information technology changed since the days when it was known as data processing? How has information technology changed the way we do business? What are a few of the technology skills office workers need today? Types of information. LOB-2 lists the types of business information, identify the characteristics of useful information, and discuss how data is stored and analyzed. Today, information flows into and through an organization from many different directions. The types of information available to business today include business process information. This includes all transaction data gathered at the point of sale, as well as information gained through operations like enterprise resource planning, supply chain management, and customer relationship management systems. Physical world observations. These result from the use of radio frequency identification, RFID devices, cameras, wireless access, the global positioning system, GPS, and sensor technology, all of which have to do with where people or items are located and what they are doing. These computer chips cost pennies a piece and can be found in a wide range of products, including credit cards, printer ink cartridges, baseballs, tire valves, running shoes, vacuum cleaners, and even coasters. That's right, you can buy a smart coaster that guides you through the steps to mix a cocktail. Just pour the ingredients into a glass until the light on the coaster turns green, and you'll have a perfect drink every time. Biological data. This includes the fingerprinting technology used on many smartphones, as well as other biometric devices that scan retinas, recognize faces and voices, and analyze DNA. Although such information usually serves security purposes, it can also be used by companies for marketing research, as well as by doctors to identify patients in busy hospitals. Page 586. Imagine China and Alamy stock photo. Biometric technology like fingerprint scanners allow companies to quickly identify individuals with near-perfect accuracy. For instance, passengers on this bus can purchase food from an unattended retailer by scanning their hand through a state-of-the-art fingerprint recognition system. Can you think of any other uses for biometric technology? Public data, free and accessible. Public data includes the electronic traces we leave when posting to social media, sending email, and using search engines. More and more public data is being stored, shared, or sold. Data that indicates personal preferences or intentions. Online shoppers leave a trail of information that can reveal personal likes and dislikes. The volume and complexity of all the data and information are staggering. Computing systems can search through text, numbers, audio, and video and identify, categorize, and refine relevant opinions on any topic imaginable. Managing information. Obviously, not all information that ends up on your desk will be useful. The usefulness of management information depends on 4 characteristics. 1. Quality. Quality means that the information is accurate and reliable. When the clerk at a fast food restaurant enters your order into the cash register, it may automatically transfer to a computer that calculates the day's sales and profits as soon as the store closes. The sales and expense data must be accurate or the rest of the calculations will be wrong. Quality can be a real problem when a large number of calculations are based on questionable sales forecasts rather than actual sales. 2. Completeness. There must be enough information to allow you to make a decision, but not so much as to confuse the issue. Today, as we have noted, the problem is often too much information rather than too little. 3. Timelines. Information must reach managers quickly. Email and texting can let marketing, engineering, and production know about a problem with a product the same day the salesperson hears about it. So customer complaints can be handled instantly if possible, or certainly within a day. Product changes can be made on the spot using computer-integrated manufacturing as discussed in Chapter 9. 4. Relevance. Different managers have different information needs. Since information systems often provide too much data, managers must learn with questions to ask to get the answers they seek. Remember, though, that you can never read everything available. Set objectives for yourself and do the best you can. As you collect information, it is important to evaluate the quality and dependability of that information. Figure B.3 outlines a framework you can use as a student to evaluate sources and reference information. Page 587, Figure B.3, the radar test. It's important to use reliable and credible sources to support the validity and reliability of your research and writing. The radar test is a simple framework that can help you evaluate sources and reference information in an article or site. By using the radar test, you can critically evaluate sources and ensure that the information you reference in your paper is relevant, authoritative, current, accurate, and reputable. Relevance. It is the information relevant to your topic or research question. Consider whether the source directly addresses the specific topic or issue you are discussing in your paper. Make sure the information is reliable and directly contributes to the purpose of your paper. Authority. Who is the author or the source of the information? Consider the credibility and expertise of the author or the organization responsible for the source. Look for credentials, qualifications, and reputation to access their authority on the topic. Data. Date. When was the information published or last updated? Consider the currency and timelessness of the information. Depending on your topic, you may need to prioritize recent sources to ensure you are referencing the most up-to-date information available. Accuracy. Is the information accurate, reliable, and supported by evidence? Consider whether the source provides reliable and verifiable information supported by facts, data, or reputable sources. Check for potential biases, errors, or inconsistencies in information provided. in the information provided. Reputably. Is the source reputable and reliable? Consider the overall reputation and trustworthiness of the source or the organization that published it. Look for sources from reputable publishers, peer-reviewed journals, or well-established organizations. Big data and analytics. Chances are that some programs is keeping track of every click you make online, every movement you make as you shop in stores, every restaurant you go to for lunch, even what you eat. Collecting such data isn't enough. You have to derive meaning from it. And when you collect more data, you need more storage. How do businesses store and organize a data glooped so that it eventually becomes useful information? The answer for many companies is data analytics. Data analytics is the process of collecting, organizing, storing, and analyzing large sets of data, big data, in order to identify patterns and other information that is most useful to business now and for making future decisions. Data analytics is the process of collecting, organizing, storing, and analyzing large sets of data, big data, in order to identify patterns and other information that is most useful to the business now and for making future decisions. Page 588, one part of data analytics is data mining, a technique for looking for hidden patterns and previously unknown relationships in the data. Identifying these connections and profiting from them has become a key goal at many big companies. For example, McDonald's gathers and analyzes all kinds of data about every single sale in real time. The fast food chain uses high-tech algorithms and machine learning platforms to quickly crunch data such as recent sales, weather conditions, nearby events, and even local traffic. McDonald's then uses this data to push certain items on its digital menus. So if the computer notices that the weather seems unseasonably warm, it could offer customers an ice cream cone on the drive-thru screen. Thanks to this information, McDonald's has the opportunity to earn more money on each sale. Some companies like Kroger are selling the consumer data it collects. Kroger says it can realize $1 billion in new profit by selling the data on customers' buying habits to advertisers. The company also packages the data to help advertisers target specific groups, such as Hispanic consumers, among other ethnic panels it tracks. The lesson here is that companies can gain a competitive advantage with high-quality data that supports management decisions. Companies can better target their goods and services, attract new customers, and adjust prices. Figure B.4 offers a few examples of sectors that benefit from big data and data analytics. Figure B.4 examples of sectors that benefit from big data and data analytics. E-commerce. Online sellers can analyze cart data to change prices for people who leave items behind in order to attract them back to the site to follow through on the purchase. Retail. Stores such as Target can tell a woman's previous purchases that she's pregnant. Retail. Stores such as Target can tell from a woman's previous purchases that she's pregnant. It can then send her coupons and other promotions for baby products. It can analyze the data a little more and promote similar products to the grandparents-to-be. Real estate. Beach house rental agents can target vacation promotions to people who buy sunscreen frequently. Law enforcement. Video cameras in light fixtures collect and feed data to software that can spot long lines, recognize license plates, and even identify suspicious activity, sending alerts to the appropriate staff. Sensors in the fixtures can pinpoint a gunshot, sense an earthquake or dangerous gas, or spot a person stopping at various cars in a parking lot. Healthcare. Smartphones with motion sensors can detect early signs of Parkinson's disease. Sources: how retailers can use big data across departments to get ahead. techhq.com, February 9th, 2022. Healthcare Analytics, Deloitte.com, accessed March 2022, how big data analytics can be the difference for law enforcement. SAS, accessed March 2022. Of course, data analytics is far from perfect. These human-built systems can sometimes make mistakes that lead to real-life harm. Just ask Sarah Wisaki, a middle school teacher who learned firsthand about the potential dangers of faulty analytics. Although both students and parents alike considered Wisaki to be a marvelous teacher, one day the school suddenly fired her after a computer algorithm judged her to be bad at her job. Astonished by the decision, Wisaki and her colleagues knew there had to be some flaw in the way the algorithm analyzed the student. Astonished by the decision, Wisaki and her colleagues knew there had to be some flaw in the way the algorithm analyzed student performance data. The company that created the algorithm held a claim to proprietary secrecy, however, and she couldn't challenge her firing. Fortunately, Wisaki soon got another job in a school district that used humans to make decisions. Page 589. Studies show that data analytics can also reflect the biases of its human creators, including sexist and racist views. For example, a beauty contest judged by an algorithm sparked controversy when viewers learned that the computer took off points. For example, a beauty contest judged by an algorithm sparked by controversy when viewers learned that the computer took off points if a contest. For example, a beauty contest judged by an algorithm sparked controversy when viewers learned that the computer took off points if a contestant had darker skin. In another high-profile incident, Amazon scrapped an artificial intelligence-driven recruiting tool that turned out to be biased against women. This lesson to be learned here is that organizations must make certain that the applications they use to analyze data are not flawed. Using information from social media, data generated on social media can help companies market to customers by providing valuable insights about their preferences, behaviors, and interests. When users interact with social media platforms, they leave behind a digital footprint that includes data such as their demographics, location, browsing history, likes, comments, and shares. Companies can collect and analyze this data to understand consumer behavior and tailor their marketing strategies accordingly. For example, social media data can help companies identify trends, patterns, and preferences among their target audience. This information can be used to create more personalized and relevant marketing campaigns, develop products or services that align with consumer interests, and optimize advertising strategies to reach the right audience at the right time. Social media data can also help companies understand how customers perceive their brand, what they like or dislike about it, and how they engage with their content or campaigns. Additionally, social media data can be used for social listening. Social media data can be used for social listening, which involves monitoring and analyzing social media conversations related to a company, its competitors, or the industry in general. This can provide insights into customer feedback, sentiments, and opinions, allowing companies to respond promptly to customer concerns, address issues, and build customer loyalty. Overall, social media data can provide valuable information that enables companies to better understand their customers, improve their marketing efforts, and make data-driven decisions to drive business success. However, it's important for companies to handle social media data responsibly, respecting privacy regulations and ensuring that data is collected, stored, and used in compliance with relevant laws and regulations. Test prep. What types of information are available to businesses today? What are the 4 characteristics of information that make it useful? What is data mining, and how do businesses use it? The heart of knowledge management, the Internet. LOB-3. Compare the scope of the Internet, intranets, extranets, and virtual private networks, and explain how broadband technology and 5G enabled the evolution to Web 2.0 and 3.0. You already know the Internet is a network of computer networks that evolved from a one-to-one communication tool to a one-to-many broadcast communication tool. Today, it is the heart of knowledge management. Internet users can point and click their way from site to site with complete freedom. But what if you don't want just anybody to have access to your website? You might create an intranet, extranet, or virtual private network. Page 590. An intranet is a company-wide network, closed to public access, that uses intranet-type technology to prevent unauthorized outsiders, particularly the competition, from accessing their sites. Companies can construct a firewall between themselves and the outside world. A firewall can consist of hardware, software, or both. Firewalls allow only authorized users to access the intranet. Many businesses choose to open their intranets to other selected companies and even customers through the use of extranets. An extranet is a controlled private network that lets more than one company access the same information or allows people on different servers to collaborate and do so without granting access to the organization's entire network. Now, almost all companies can use extranets for electronic data interchange (EDI) functions, like sharing data and processing orders, specifications, invoices, and payments. A virtual private network, VPN, is a private data network that creates secure connections or tunnels over regular internet networks. VPNs use encryption to scramble when it's sent over a Wi-Fi network. Encryption makes the data unreadable, thus keeping the network secure. Another way to think of it is that a firewall protects your data on your computer and a VPN protects your data on the internet. You probably use a VPN when you log on to your school's website. VPNs are commonplace in schools across the country that want to allow only affiliated students and faculty access to accounts like Blackboard, an online tool used to enhance teaching and learning, share course documentation, and register for courses. If you don't have access to a corporate VPN, you can easily set up an account at a public VPN provider like Norton Secure VPN, CyberGhost, or Pure VPN. The challenge to the Chief Information Officer, CIO, is to integrate resources, information, reports, and so on, all of which may be in a variety of places so that they appear seamless to the user. Broadband technology. The more traffic on the internet, the slower connections become. Tools to unlock these traffic jams include broadband technology, a continuous connection to the intranet. Tools to unlock these traffic jams include broadband technology, a continuous connection to the internet that allows users to send and receive video, voice, and data files quickly. Broadband speed in the United States has improved over the last couple of years, with the nation's now boasting an average speed of about 118 megabits per second, Mbps. Still, it can't quite match the pace set by global leaders like Macau, which averages about 263 Mbps. As people use more and more bandwidth to stream video on services like Netflix or music on apps like Spotify, internet service providers have begun to place caps on the amount of broadband consumers can use. Right now, this isn't a problem for most users since average use. Right now, this isn't a problem for most users since average usage is well below the current caps. But as more mobile devices and services come online, the more likely broadband will become a consumption-based service, i.e., important example, you pay for the broadband you use. Private Internet Access, INC, VPN providers like Private Internet Access create secure connections over regular networks, allowing users to browse the internet privately and safely. What are the benefits of using VPNs in schools and businesses? Page 591, 5G, short for fifth generation wireless, can be 100 times faster than 4G networks. Actual speed depends upon a number of factors, including where you are, what network and device you're using, and how many other people are also using the network. In addition to faster speeds, 5G offers lower latency, the time it takes for data to travel from its source to its destination and back again, and increased capacity, making it capable of supporting emerging technologies such as the Internet of Things, IoT, autonomous vehicles, and advanced industrial applications. The sooner companies can access this more powerful technology, the better they can compete with companies across the globe. Of course, this means more jobs and higher profits. Rolling out 5G in the United States has faced a number of roadblocks. Several parts of the government were at odds over how to assign space on the key public resource that 5G needs, the airwaves, also called the spectrum. Much of the space on the spectrum is already being used by many different organizations. For example, weather satellites use it to predict hurricanes and tornadoes. High-speed networks use it for education. Satellites use it for TV broadcasts. Automakers and utilities use it for safety and other purposes. Cell phone companies use it for smartphones. Transportation companies use it to track truck fleets and rental cars. And of course, the Department of Defense uses it for radar. Carving out enough space on the spectrum for 5G has been a challenge. For example, when AT&T and Verizon rolled out their 5G networks in 2022 near aviation safety equipment, several airlines were forced to cancel flights. Policymakers continue to work on resolving these issues so that businesses can make full use of 5G capabilities, especially those needing the high speed, low latency, and network capacity that 5G is designed to provide. Artificial intelligence plus 5G. Artificial intelligence AI. Artificial intelligence AI describes machines programmed to think, work, and react like humans. AI can be classified as either narrow or general. Narrow AI involves training a device or software to perform a specific task like recognizing images. General AI involves technology that can evolve and improve any task. Machine learning involves training devices and software to perform a task and improve its capabilities by feeding it data and information so that it can learn over time. For example, Amazon's recommendation engine collects data about your prior purchases and uses an algorithm to suggest other items you might like. As we saw with McDonald's earlier in the chapter, many companies now rely on advanced computer programs that can automatically sort through and analyze tons of data. These artificial intelligence-powered systems allow businesses to provide better service to their customers while also finding out more about them. For instance, every week millions of Spotify users receive their own personalized playlist compiled by the company's machine learning algorithms. Not only can this inform users about artists they've never heard before, but it also allows the music streaming platform to collect data on what their users are listening to. Page 592. 5G lets internet-connected AI devices transmit more information faster than ever before. Here are just a few examples of how 5G and AI can work together. Carlsberg AS has a program called the Beer Fingerprinting Project, which developed sensors that can determine the ultimate flavor of yeast variants before the fermentation starts. Machine learning is used to analyze the data that the sensors produce and assemble it in a readable form. The current process requires months of research and thousands of variants before humans can taste the yeast and determine the one or two that might. The current process requires months of research and thousands of variants before humans can taste the yeast and determine the one or two that might make the final cut. Carlsberg believes its sensors could have applications for the pharmaceutical and medical industries, such as detecting microbial Carlsberg believes its sensors could have applications for the pharmaceutical and medical industries, such as detecting microbial contaminations. Neiman Marcus uses 5G and AI devices to gather new levels of Neiman Marcus uses 5G and AI devices to gather new levels of customer intelligence and change the ways that shoppers browse its aisles. Sensors on store shelves can detect when customers pick up a product and put it back. If a product is picked up and returned often, the AI-enabled software and other analytics can help managers decide to reset prices or improve product displays. Using this technology, a retailer that arranges cosmetics by brand could discover that buyers prefer to shop by category such as fragrance, eye makeup, lipstick, and so on. Retailers using the tools report an average sales increase of 60%. The European Space Agency partnered with private companies and public service agencies to explain how a combination of space-based technologies and AI might be able to track the spread of viruses like COVID-19 during a pandemic. By collecting data about infection rates and analyzing it at the source, they combined this information with satellite images transmitted by 5G. Some hospitals use robots to help treat patients who are contagious. Remote communication helps patients avoid transmitting disease. Trusting robots to perform simple tasks like disinfecting rooms, taking vitals, and delivering medications saves time for healthcare workers. For example, in a hospital near Seattle, a robot carried a stethoscope and helped medical staff communicate with patients with COVID-19 while limiting their own exposure to the illness. You don't have to be a big organization to use AI tools. Anyone with access to an internet-enabled device can use ChatGPT to seek information, ask questions, or engage in conversations on a wide range of topics. ChatGPT is an advanced computer program that uses artificial intelligence to communicate with users through text-based conversations. It's designed to understand and generate responses in a conversational manner, similar to how a human would interact in a conversation. It has been trained on vast amounts of text data and uses that knowledge to generate responses based on patterns it has learned from the data. It can be used in various applications such as customer service chatbots, virtual assistants, and other conversational interfaces. However, it's important to note that ChatGPT is just a computer program and does not have consciousness or emotions like a human being. It generates text-based responses based on patterns it has learned and does not have opinions or beliefs of its own. Full disclosure, ChatGPT wrote most of this paragraph in response to the question, "Can you explain what ChatGPT is in simple terms?" It is important to use AI tools like ChatGPT appropriately. AI isn't always the best choice For example, the staff at Vanderbilt University apologized for poor judgment after using ChatGPT to write a condolence email in wake of the shooting at Michigan State University. Some things need to come from genuine human hearts rather than artificial intelligence. Users also have to read the results of their queries with a critical eye since the answers aren't always correct. It's always recommended to consult reliable and up-to-date sources for accurate and current information. Net neutrality. Today there is plenty of debate about net neutrality and the role of the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, plays in regulating it. Net neutrality is the concept that Internet service providers, ISPs, should provide the same level of access to all websites regardless of their content. So whether you're liking a friend's Instagram post, looking up recipes on delish.com, or watching videos on YouTube, your ISP must treat each site the same. Advocates claim that without net neutrality, laws in place, ISPs could charge sites for faster access. That means while deep-pocketed companies like Amazon or Netflix could afford to upgrade, smaller sites would be left behind. It is also possible that ISPs could charge people to visit certain websites. The more money you're willing to pay, the more sites you'll have access to. Rich customers and poor customers could get two different internet experiences. The current state of net neutrality in the United States is complex and uncertain, with a patchwork of state laws and ongoing debates at the federal level. The future of net neutrality in the United States may continue to evolve as policymakers, advocates, and stakeholders continue to debate. Page 593. Without net neutrality, our computers are trash. Aaron Schaff and UPI and Alamy Stock Photo companies and government regulators have long been concerned with how existing broadband should be distributed and who should regulate the distribution. Why does it matter how broadband is divided and distributed? Some people are concerned that ISPs will charge customers to go to certain websites. The more money you're willing to pay, the more sites you'll have access to. Rich customers and poor customers could get two different versions of the internet. Other people say that it's only fair that whoever uses the most broadband should pay the most. What do you think? Internet 2. Even with broadband technology, scientists and other scholars who access, transmit, and manipulate complex mathematical models, datasets, and other digital elements need a faster solution. Their answer: create a private internet reserved for research purposes only. Internet 2 runs the fastest network and supports heavy-duty applications such as video conferencing, collaborative research. Internet 2 runs the fastest network and supports heavy-duty applications such as video conferencing, collaborative research, distance education, digital libraries, and full-body simulations, known as teleimmersion. The power of Internet 2 makes it possible for a remote medical specialist to assist in an operation online without having the connection deteriorate due to millions of people watching Netflix at home. Page 594. Internet 2 became available to only a few select organizations in late 1997, but there are now more than 550 member universities, government agencies, corporations, and laboratories representing over 100 countries, whereas the public internet divides bandwidth equally among users. If there are 100 users, they each get to use 1% of the available bandwidth. Internet 2 is more capitalistic. Users who are willing to pay more can use more bandwidth. Web 2.0 and social media. Web 2.0 is the set of tools that allow people to build social and business connections, share information, and collaborate on projects online with user-generated sites like blogs, wikis, social networking sites, and other online communities, and virtual worlds. In this context, Web 1.0 consists only of static documents and read-only data, such as corporate websites, while Web 2.0 is interactive and includes read-write capabilities, Social networking is the best example of Web 2.0. Facebook, TikTok, and X are among the largest Web 2.0 businesses, where ordinary people create all the content. Social media platforms provide an array of opportunities and challenges for modern businesses. They are an inexpensive way to gain exposure in a crowded marketplace. Most importantly, they give businesses tools to collaborate with consumers on product development, service enhancement, and promotion. Successful companies develop social media ecosystems and comprehensive strategies where every part of the organization collaborates and where customers are part of the conversation instantly. Many businesses hire social media managers to oversee this increasingly complicated set of tasks. As online ambassadors for a brand's image, social media managers must interact with customers daily while also creating content. As online ambassadors for a brand's image, social media managers must interact with customers daily while also creating content that can reach a wide audience. To achieve this goal, social media managers often coordinate with marketing teams on strategies like search engine optimization, SEO. This strategy centers on using common keywords or trending topics in order to appear higher in Google's search rankings, which can then drive traffic to a company's website or social media accounts. Social media managers must also be mindful of how they present content on different social media platforms. After all, posting a big block of text probably won't generate much interaction on an image-obsessed platform like Instagram. Some companies owe much of their success to social media marketing campaigns that went viral. Dollar Shave Club became a sensation thanks to a hilarious promotional video featuring founder and former CEO Michael Dubin that was viewed millions of times. Then there are companies like JetBlue that use social media to expand their customer service capabilities. The airline employs a team of 25 people to keep constant watch over its social media channels, allowing JetBlue to respond to many customers within 10 minutes. Figure B.5 offers suggestions to consider when using social media in business. The most important thing to remember is that the social media have to serve a unique purpose and not be just gimmicky add-ons. Page 595, figure B.5, tips for using social media to partner with customers. Using social media is about trusting your brand and identify to your customers, partners, and the world at large. The world is going to do things with your brand, whether or not you participate in the process. Here are some tips to keep in mind. If your competition is using social media, you had better be using them too. More than 50% of X users say that they follow companies, brands, or products on social networks. Let the network mature and develop a comprehensive social media strategy. Provide unique content for each platform. It's important that you don't post the same thing across various platforms on a given day. Users visit different platforms in order to have unique experiences, so be sure to provide different visual strategies. To take customers' comments seriously and establish two-way communication, people expect to be listened to. If you respond, they'll keep coming back. Post questions and surveys. Ask your customers to answer common questions. Asking your most active fans and advocates to answer common questions is an effective way to acknowledging the value of loyal customers while adding credibility to information about your product or service. Be authentic. You have to talk directly with your customers, not just make an announcement as you would in a press release. Keep it authentic and you'll build a personality around your company and your brand. Make your corporate site social. Provide social sharing opportunities by offering share buttons, tweet widgets, and Facebook like buttons to make it easier to share across social networks. Sources: 50 social media best practices, Salesforce.com, accessed April 2023. 2023 social media trends, strategies to disrupt a disruptive consumer. Koros.com. Accessed April 2023. Sammy Caramella. How to connect with customers. Business News Daily. BusinessNewsDaily.com. February 21st, 2023. Mobile web. Mobile devices like smartphones and tablets allow people to access and interact online no matter where they are located. Looking up a restaurant or shop in the area is simple thanks to location-based services that can instantly pinpoint a user's position. Many companies also use mobile apps for online ordering and loyalty programs, providing customers both convenience and frequent discounts because so many consumers switch between devices throughout the day. It is important for businesses to ensure that their apps and websites work across multiple platforms. That way, users will be able to rely on consistent, high-quality access whether they're using a laptop, smartphone. That way, users will be able to rely on consistent, high-quality access whether they're using a laptop, smartphone, or tablet. Users get frustrated or annoyed when they can't find what they need or where they were earlier. Immersive Internet and the Metaverse. The immersive Internet includes virtual reality, VR, augmented reality, AR, and 3D environments. Technology like VR, like for example Oculus and HTC. AR, like for example Apple Magic Leap. 5G, like for example AT&T and Verizon. Real-time engines, like for example Unity and Unreal Engine. Digital currencies, like for example Bitcoin and Ether. Blockchain and AI are all coming together to create the metaverse. In the metaverse, users will be immersed in digital worlds, meta worlds, that allow their avatars to interact with others in a virtual place. While there have been meta worlds of sorts in games like Fortnite and Second Life for years, they were rudimentary compared to what developers envision for the metaverse to come. Many predict the metaverse will become a leading way of exploring, learning, shopping, socializing, and conducting business in a virtual world that looks and feels like the physical world. Obviously, Facebook believes so strongly in the evolving power of the metaverse that it changed its company name to Meta. The use of VR and AR technology is expected to dramatically change the way we interact with each other in the coming years. For example, a VR or AR meeting will break down some of the physical and digital barriers of traditional video conferences. Most of us have experienced the limitations of Zoom classes and virtually happy hours. Potentially, the metaverse will deliver a realistic environment that allows us to see our colleagues' gestures as their avatars listen and speak with us as we are. Potentially, the metaverse will deliver a realistic environment that allows us to see our colleagues' gestures as their avatars listen and speak with us as we were physically. Potentially, the metaverse will deliver a realistic environment that allows us to see our colleagues' gestures as their avatars listen and speak with us as if we were physically together. One of the limitations, at least for a while, to widespread adoption of the metaverse will be that users need to invest in expensive. One of the limitations, at least for a while, to widespread adoption of the metaverse will be that users need to invest in expensive and uncomfortable VR and AR headsets. Do you think that one day soon we will live two lives, our physical life and our virtual life? How do you envision the metaverse may change business and education? Internet of Things. The internet connects more people faster than ever before, and mobile devices let people be online all of the time. However, it's not just phones and tablets that connect us to the internet. There are so many other objects that connect us that the term Internet of Things, IoT, has become popular in mainstream media. IoT refers to technology that enables ordinary objects to be connected to the internet by using sensors, cameras, software, databases, and massive data centers. There are Wi-Fi based home automation networks that automatically cool or heat your home, turn the lights on and off, and lock your doors, all from your smartphone or computer. People can also use voice activated assistants like Amazon's Alexa or Google Home to accomplish these tasks and more. Wearables such as smartwatches, fitness bands like those from Garmin or Fitbit, or conductive fibers woven into the fabric of your workout clothes can monitor your breathing and heart rate, count your steps, and send the information to your phone. Factory workers at companies like Walmart and Amazon use wearable sensors that identify when they move in ways that may cause injury and notify them in real time in order to keep them safe. Page 596, courtesy of Owlet Inc. The Owlet Smart Sock slips snugly on an infant's foot and allows parents to stay constantly updated about their baby's health and activity. As wearable technology like this becomes more advanced, it could lead to major life changes for people both young and old. What do you think are the benefits and drawbacks of wearable tech? Soon every part of our lives will be quantifiable, making us even more accountable for our decisions. For example, the life insurance company John Hancock offers its customers the option to wear a fitness tracker that collects information on their sleeping and exercise habits. If the tracker shows that the policyholders are living a healthy life, their insurance premiums go down. IoT technology like this has become even more widespread with the arrival of the faster 5G wireless networks. Factories can communicate with robot assembly lines through high-speed Wi-Fi rather than through complicated networks of wires, increasing both efficiency and reliability. Factories can communicate with robot assembly lines through high-speed Wi-Fi rather than through complicated networks of wires, increasing both efficiency and reliability. 5G networks could even be utilized to create smart cities by networking community data to improve traffic conditions and environmental sustainability. Web 3.0 moving toward decentralization. Another generation of web innovators plans to expand the utility of the internet by enabling an unprecedented level of decentralization and security. They refer to this emerging technology as Web 3.0. Their goal is to overcome the major problems created by Web 2.0, primarily that 1. Most of the data generated online is collected by big tech companies, i.e., important example, Meta, Google, Microsoft, etc. And 2, the system is vulnerable to a variety of issues that could lead to losses of service and or data. Most of the data generated on the website is consolidated by a few large companies, which severely limits the ability of new, smaller companies to compete. These tech giants make lots of money from all the data they collect while giving the sources of that data, folks like you and us, little in exchange. Most of us have exchanged our privacy for the convenience of gadgets like smartphones, smart speakers, Amazon Echo, Google Home, and other devices that know where we are, what we say, and what we search for. Today, this data is commonly used to push ads for products and services that our browsing history indicates we might be willing to buy. Of course, we can think of more sinister applications it might be used for in the future. Page 597. It's not just users who are giving away valuable data. Consider the music industry for a moment. The internet freed music from giant record labels and made it readily available on places like Spotify and Pandora. Sure, we can access music for pennies compared to what we used to pay for CDs. Sure, we can access music for pennies compared to what we used to pay for CDs. But what about the artists who created it? They get a fraction of those pennies, while the companies that played no role or expense in the music's creation add to their riches. Instead of making users go through intermediaries that collect and profit from our data, Web 3.0 moves to a decentralized system in which users connect and collaborate directly with each other. The vision is for a more powerful peer-to-peer system that was used in the past. This was made possible through blockchain, which is a decentralized database that exists on many servers at the same time. The blockchain is constantly growing as new sets of recordings or blocks are added to it. Each block contains a timestamp and a link to the previous block, so they actually form a chain. The data in each block can't be altered. This means data can't be lost since it exists on many independent servers at the same time and is not controlled by a central server. The system can still go on if one server fails, unlike a centralized system in which the whole system goes down if the central server crashes. Huge systems like Google don't have just one server but a network of many servers. However, that network is controlled by the central server. The only way Web 3.0 could be changed is if there was a single computer that was as powerful as half of all the other computers on the network combined. Considering the millions or billions of computers that could be on the network, the odds of that happening are slim. Who's the boss of the internet? The U.S. Defense Department created the first computer network in the late 1960s, and Tim Berners-Lee, a software engineer in a physics lab in Switzerland, invented the World Wide Web in 1990. But who controls the internet now? For years, the U.S. Commerce Department controlled the root server for the domain name system, a digital directory that tells your computer where to go when you type in a web address, including .gov or .edu. This gave the U.S. hazy ownership rights to the internet. The United States created the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN, in 1998 to keep the management of networks in the hands of a private sector system of committees representing multiple stakeholders, including companies, academics, and governments. In 2016, the U.S. government agreed to give away its remaining ownership in ICANN, thus making the organization an entirely private entity. Some argue that America's withdrawal could upset the balance of power at ICANN, possibly convincing other countries to institute restrictive policies on the internet. So far, though, the United States has been successful in building a coalition of nations that agree the internet should be free of government regulations or restrictions on free speech. What does this mean for you? It could mean that someday the internet will be very different than it is today. You may not be free to go where you want or say what you want on the internet. On the other hand, the coalition will hopefully remain strong enough to keep the internet open to everyone. After the Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Ukraine asked ICANN to revoke Russian internet domains. ICANN declined, saying that means of communication should be affected by political conflict or war. Do you agree? Perhaps the innovators working on Web 3.0 will meet their goals of creating an open, decentralized internet controlled by users as Berners-Lee originally envisioned. We'll have to wait and see. Page 598, Test Prep. How do computer networks change the way employees gather information? What is the Internet of Things? Networks and Cloud Computing, LOB-4, explain the differences between LAN and WAN, and discuss the benefits and drawbacks of iCloud computing. There are many types of computer networks. Don't worry, we won't discuss all of them. For our purposes, we'll mention only two major types, LAN and WAN. A local area network, LAN, is a group of connected devices in one physical location, such as a home or office. A LAN can be a small or large ranging. A LAN, a local area network, can be small or large, ranging from a home network with one user to a large enterprise network with thousands of users and devices. A LAN may include both wired and wireless devices, regardless of size. A LAN connects devices that are in a single limited area. A wide area network, WAN, is a network that extends over a large geographic area and connects individual users or multiple LANs. The internet can be considered a WAN. Large organizations use WANs to connect their various sites, remote employees, suppliers, and data centers so they can run applications and access necessary data. WAN connectivity can involve leased lines, cellular connections, satellite links, and other means. Cloud networking, sometimes called cloud-based networking, involves the access of networking resources from a centralized third-party provider using WAN or internet-based technologies. Cloud networking has spurred a trend of pushing more network management functions into the cloud so that fewer customer devices are needed to manage the network. Cloud networking is related to the concept of cloud computing, in which centralized computing resources are shared. Cloud computing is the delivery of computing services, including servers, storage, databases, networking, software, analytics, and intelligence, over the internet. The cloud. The data isn't necessarily stored in a single data center. Portions could be in a series of centers anywhere in the world. The data is easily accessible from any computer with an internet connection. Vendors like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and IBM offer cloud storage for a monthly pay-as-you-go fee. There are three types of cloud computing. 1, private clouds wholly behind a firewall. 2, public clouds run on remote computers. And 3, hybrid clouds consist of a private cloud for essential tasks, but use a public cloud as needed. Cloud computing: servers, database, desktop, tablets, phone, laptop, Krista, Chamchin, and Alamy stock photo. Cloud computing changes the way people and businesses use technology. Since their data is stored in the cloud rather than locked on their computers, users are free to access files from anywhere with any device. How has cloud computing changed the way you access your programs and files? The advantages of cloud computing include: 1, reduced software costs. Most software is free because the service provider supplies it. No more paying for upgrades or spending time installing all those patches since they're installed in the cloud. 2, improved security. Offsite centers provide full and regular backups of data, improved security. Offsite centers provide full and regular backups of data, which is something many small businesses fail to do regularly. 3, flexible capacity. Sometimes businesses need large chunks of capacity during peak demand periods, but much less at other times. Cloud computing allows the company to rent only what it needs when it needs it. If it needs increase, it just rents more. This is especially important to growing businesses that don't know what their needs will be. 4, lower equipment costs. Since applications run in the cloud and not on your desk. You don't need to buy expensive equipment. 5. Easier access. Since you access all of your documents in the cloud via the internet, it is much easier to share documents and make sure that everyone is working with the latest version. Page 599. Of course, cloud computing has its disadvantages as well. Primarily, these involve concerns about security, stability, and control of data. We'll discuss these issues in more detail later in the chapter. To prevent security breaches, the software company VMware provides a service that lets IT managers control the data on private and public clouds so they can enjoy the cost savings and flexibility of cloud services but still maintain control over security. Test prep. What is the difference between LAN and WAN computer networks? What are the benefits and drawbacks of cloud computing? Effects of information technology on management. LOB-5. Evaluate the human resource, security, privacy, and stability issues affected by information technology. The increase of information technology has affected management greatly and will continue to do so. Four major issues today are human resource changes, security threats, privacy concerns, and stability. Human resource issues. We talked in Chapter 8 about tall versus flat organizational structures. Computers often eliminate middle management functions and thus flatten organizational structures. Human resource managers need to recruit employees who know how to use the new technology or train those who already work in the company. The speed at which technology has advanced has created a generational divide in terms of tech skills among different aged workers. This creates greater challenges when it comes to recruitment and training. Companies frequently hire consultants instead of internal staff to address these concerns. Outsourcing technical training allows them to concentrate on their core businesses. Perhaps the most revolutionary effect of computers and the internet is telecommuting. Using computers linked to the company's network, mobile employees can transmit their work to the office from anywhere as easily as they can walk to the boss's office. Naturally, that decreases travel time and overall costs and often increases productivity. Having fewer employees in the office also means that a company can get by with a smaller and therefore less expensive office space than before. Insta_photos and Shutterstock. Telecommuting is one of the biggest human resource boons of the wireless age, but some employees are better suited to its demands than others. Do you have what it takes? Telecommuting enables us to work while staying home with small children or older adults. It has also been a tremendous boon for workers with disabilities. Employees who have the option to work at home rather than staying at the office frequently report reduced stress and improved morale. Even after the COVID-19 pandemic began to subside, a third of U.S. workers continue to work from home. This is down from 55% in October 2020, but up from only 7% before the pandemic. Telecommuting is the most successful among people who are self-starters, who don't have home distractions, and whose work doesn't require face-to-face interaction with coworkers. Page 600. At the same time, electronic communication can never replace face-to-face communication for creating enthusiasm and team spirit. Even as telecommuting has grown in popularity, some telecommuters report that a consistent diet of long-distance work leaves them feeling dislocated or left out of the loop. Some miss the energy of social interaction or dislike the intrusion of work into what is normally a personal setting. Often people working from home don't know when to turn off the work. Some companies are therefore using telecommuting only as a part-time alternative. Figure B.6 illustrates how information technology changes the way managers and workers interact. For additional information about telecommuting and home-based workers. Review Chapter 6 and Chapter 11. Figure B.6. When information technology alters the workplace, managers must instill commitment in workers rather than rule by command and control. Become coaches, training workers in necessary job skills, making sure they have resources to accomplish objectives, and explain links between a job and what happens elsewhere in the company. Give greater authority to workers over scheduling, priority setting, and even compensation. Use new information technologies to measure workers' performance, possibly based on customer satisfaction or the accomplishment of specific objectives. Workers must become initiators, able to act without management direction. Become financially literate so that they can understand the business implications of what they do and the changes they suggest. Learn group interaction skills, including how to resolve disputes within their work group and how to work with other functions across the company. Develop new math, technical, and analytical skills to use newly available information on their jobs. Security issues. Secure information may be at risk from hackers who break into companies' networks, from employees who steal it, or from companies' own incompetence, poor gatekeeping, or sloppy procedures. Computer security is more complicated today than ever, as smartphones and the networks they run on, social media and online games, cloud storage databases, and USB storage devices, flash drives, and memory cards become hackers' targets. When information was processed on mainframes, the single data center was easier to control because there was limited access to it. Today, however, computers are accessible not only in all areas within the company, but also in all areas of other companies with which the firm does business. Viruses. An ongoing security threat is the spread of computer viruses over the internet. A virus is a piece of programming code inserted into other programming that usually lies dormant until triggered to cause some unexpected and, for the victim, usually undesirable event. Users pick up viruses by unknowingly downloading infected programming online or sharing an infected external storage device. Often the source of the infected file is unaware of the virus. Viruses can be quite harmful, erasing data or causing your hard drive to crash. Programs such as McAfee and Norton Antivirus inoculate your computer so that it doesn't catch a known virus. But because new viruses are being developed constantly, antivirus programs may have only limited access. Success. Thus, it is important to keep your antivirus protection up to date and, more importantly, practice safe computing by not downloading files from unknown sources. Page 601. Hackers. If a business stores customer data, it is subject to laws and regulations regarding the proper protection of that data. Many smaller businesses that don't have the staff to handle security concerns might consider hiring a managed security service provider, MSSP, like Alert Logic or Perimeter eSecurity. MSSPs can install and manage firewalls, virtual private networks, web filtering, and anti-spam programs, security intelligence services, and wireless and mobile functions. But even with all of this security protection, hackers can still find ways to get through. Yahoo disclosed that more than 3 billion accounts became compromised when hackers breached the site and stole personal information like names and passwords. Hotel chains Marriott International experienced a similar attack when hackers stole credit card information, addresses, and even passport numbers for more than 380 million guests. Even organizations charged with protecting your most vital information are vulnerable to hackers. More than 145 million people had their social security numbers, birth dates, and other critical information stolen when hackers breached the consumer credit reporting agency Equifax. The hack exposed millions of people to great risk of having their identities stolen. The company agreed to a global settlement that included $425 million to help consumers affected by the data breach. Identity theft is the obtaining of individuals' personal information such as social security and credit card numbers for illegal purposes. If you ever fall victim to identity theft, experts advise that you reset the passwords on all your accounts and start using a password manager. They also recommend activating two-factor authentication, which is an additional layer of security when possible, and using a VPN. Many employers even offer identity theft protection as an employee benefit. This option may help employers as much as employees, since more than half of victims report that they needed to take off work to deal with the issue. Victims often report that they suffered severe emotional distress as a result of identity theft. Some security experts advise businesses to assume that their systems have been breached and take the fight to the hackers. They recommend using methods that will frustrate the hackers and drive up their cost in order to deter them from future hacking. These methods include planting fake information on their systems to mislead data thieves and creating decoys that gather information about intruders. If hackers try to access a company through one of these false gateways, IT workers can easily identify and take countermeasures against them. Bottom line is that businesses that store data will need stronger and smarter tools to protect themselves from hackers. Phishing. Phishing is another type of online security threat. A scammer will embellish an email message with a stolen logo for a well-recognized brand such as eBay, PayPal, or Citibank that makes the message look authentic. Phishing messages often state something like account activation required, or your account will be canceled if you do not verify. When the victims click the link contained in the message, they are sent to a phony website that take their personal information and uses it to commit fraud. The best way to avoid a phishing scam is never to access a website through a link in an email message. Instead, open a new window and go to the home page of the company's website directly. Yuri Gripus and Abeka Press and Alamy stock photo. In 2021, hackers launched a ransomware attack on the Colonial Pipeline, In 2021, hackers launched a ransomware attack on the Colonial Pipeline, a major conduit that supplies nearly half of the East Coast's oil. Colonial voluntarily took some systems offline to contain the threat, resulting in fuel shortages that lasted for weeks. What steps do you think companies should take to ensure they stay safe from hackers? As the internet continues to be at the center of many people's lives, the number of legal issues surrounding its use will likely increase. Today, copyright and obscenity laws are entering into the virtual world. Other legal questions relate to intellectual property and contract disputes, online sexual and racial harassment, and the use of electronic communication to promote crooked sales schemes. It is estimated that cybercrimes will cost the world economy as much as $10.5 trillion by 2025. Page 602. Ransomware. Malicious software that holds data hostage is known as ransomware. Ransomware is like kidnapping. Someone takes something valuable from you and then demands that you pay them in order to get it back. Like phishing, it typically works by infecting a computer with a virus that comes from a corrupted link or an email attachment that looks real. One of the biggest cyber attacks in history occurred on May 12, 2017, when ransomware named WannaCry stormed across the internet. In the first few hours, 300,000 machines in 150 countries were infected, and their owners were told to pay a ransom in order to unlock their data. Big organizations such as Renault and the UK's National Health Service were struck and crippled by the attack, as were many hospitals and German and Russian railroads. The ransomware caused billions of dollars in losses. Cyber terrorism. Until September 11, 2001, corporate and government security officials worried mostly about online theft, credit card fraud, and hackers. Today, however, they are most concerned about the threat that cyber terrorism poses to the nation's communications infrastructure, money supply, electricity grids, and transportation systems. A large group of U.S. utility firms formed Grid Assurance, an organization that stockpiles key electrical equipment to be used in the event of a cyber attack or natural disaster. The idea is that if hackers knock out a portion of the electrical system, Grid Assurance can easily replace the broken parts without interrupting service for too long. The Critical Infrastructure Protection Board, part of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, was created after September 11, 2001, to devise a plan for improving the security of critical infrastructure in the United States. The agency needs the cooperation of businesses across the country because 85% of the system it needs to protect is in the private sector. Companies have been reluctant to file reports about security breaches, however, for fear the public will lose faith in their ability to protect their assets. To encourage the sharing of such information, Congress passed the Critical Infrastructure Information Act of 2002, assuring businesses that any information they provide the Department of Homeland Security will remain secret through an exemption from the Freedom of Information Act. Privacy issues. The increasing use of technology creates major concerns about privacy. In 2018, a whistleblower revealed that Facebook allowed an organization called Cambridge Analytica to collect private data from more than 50 million accounts, while the social network sometimes allows scholars to study its data. Cambridge Analytica was not a research institute. Instead, it was a political organization collecting information about potential voters. This revelation shocked the public and caused many to reconsider their trust in social networks like Facebook. Monkey business images and Shutterstock. Do you know how many online and mobile apps track your whereabouts, both your physical location and where you go online, and share that information with third parties? Probably more than you think. As we mentioned earlier in the chapter, private industry is constantly keeping track of your clicks, swipes, and likes. In addition, many U.S. companies scan employee email regularly, and it's legal. They look for trade secrets, non-work-related traffic, harassing messages, and conflicts of interest. Any hacker with a desire to read your thoughts can also trap and read your messages, most of which are unencrypted. Some email systems can encrypt email to keep corporate messages private. Page 603. The internet presents increasing threats to your privacy as more personal information is stored in computers and more people are able to access it, legally or not. Some websites allow people to search for vehicle ownership from a license plate number or to find other individuals' real estate property records. This causes many people to ask the question, isn't this personal information already public anyway? Civil libertarians have long fought to keep certain kinds of information available to the public. If access to such data is restricted on the internet, wouldn't we have to reevaluate our policies on all public records? Privacy advocates don't think so. After all, the difference is that the internet makes obtaining personal information too easily. Would your neighbors or friends even consider going to the appropriate local agency and sorting through public documents to find your driving records or to see your divorce settlement? Probably not, but they might dig into your background if it's only a few clicks away. Many web servers track the online movements of users willing to swap such personal details for free access to online information. Site owners can share your data with others without your permission. Websites often send cookies to your computer to stay on your hard drive. These are pieces of information such as registration data, name and password, or user preferences that the browser sends back to the server whenever you return to that website. Some software, known as spyware, can be installed on your computer without your knowledge. The spyware can then infect your system with viruses and track your online behavior. In this data-driven age, you need to decide how much personal information you are willing to give away. Remember, we are living in an information economy, and information is a commodity. That is, an economic good with a measurable value. All sorts of online entities want to know whatever they can about you, and unfortunately, some of them don't have the best intentions in mind. To ensure that personal data remains secure, experts recommend that users update their passwords frequently. Use a password manager to store and protect their passwords. Don't access financial sites on public Wi-Fi, avoid suspicious links, and keep close watch on their credit card information. Technology and you. As information technology eliminates old jobs, while creating new ones, it will be up to you to learn and maintain the skills you need to be certain you aren't left behind. Keeping current with the latest technology can get complicated, so don't be afraid to seek help from experts when you need it. You can find many high-level IT professionals from major firms dispensing advice on social media platforms like X or through YouTube videos. But as you've learned in this chapter, not everyone online can be trusted. Be mindful of misinformation and always seek out verifiable sources. If you learn about technology and how to use it responsibly, there's no limit to where you can go in today's hyper-connected world. Page 604, Test Prep, How has information technology changed the way people work? What management issues have been affected by the growth of information technology? Summary, LOB-1 outlined the changing role of business technology. What have been the various names and roles of business technology since 1970? In the 1970s, business technology was called data processing, DP, and its role was to support existing businesses. In the 1980s, its name became Information Systems, IS, and its role changed to In the 1980s, its name became Information Systems, IS, and its role changed to doing business. In the 1990s, business technology became Information Technology, IT, and its role was to change business. As technology became more sophisticated in the 2000s, it became known as Business Intelligence, BI, or Analytics, and includes data mining, online analytical process, curing, and reporting. How does information technology change business? Information technology has minimized the importance of time and place to businesses. Firms that are independent of time and location can deliver products or Firms that are independent of time and location can deliver products and services whenever and wherever convenient for the customer. See Figure B.2 for examples of how information technology changes business. What is business intelligence? Business intelligence refers to a variety of software applications that analyze an organization's raw data and extract useful insights from it. LOB-2. List the types of business information. Identify the characteristics of useful information and discuss how data is stored and analyzed. What types of information are available to businesses today? The types of information available to businesses today include 1. Business process information, 2. Physical world observations, 3. Biological data, 4. Public data, and 5. Data that indicates personal preferences or intentions. How can you deal with information overload? The most important step in dealing with information overload is to identify your 4 or 5 key goals. Eliminate information that will not help you meet them. What makes information useful? The usefulness of management information depends on 4 characteristics: quality, completeness, timelessness, and relevance. What are data analytics and big data? Data analytics is the process of collecting, organizing, storing, and analyzing large sets of data, big data, in order to identify patterns and other information that is most useful to the business now and for making future decisions. Data mining is the part of data analytics that involves looking for hidden patterns and previously unknown relationships among the data. Page 605, LOB-3. Compare the scope of the intranets, extranets, and virtual private networks, and explain how broadband technology and 5G enabled the evolution to Web 2.0 and 3.0. What information technology is available to help business manage information? The heart of information technology involves the internet, intranets, extranets, and virtual private networks. The intranet is a massive network of thousands of smaller networks open to everyone with a computer and a modem. An intranet is a company-wide network protected from unauthorized entry by outsiders. An extranet is a semi-private network that allows more than one company to access the same information. A virtual private network is a private data network that creates secure connections or tunnels over regular internet lines. What is Web 2.0? Web 2.0 is the set of tools that allow people to build social and business connections, share information, and collaborate on projects online with user-generated sites like blogs, wikis, social media sites, and other online communities, and virtual worlds. TikTok and X are among the largest Web 2.0 businesses, where ordinary people create all the content. What is Web 3.0? Web 3.0 is an emerging technology that is designed to expand the utility of the internet by enabling an unprecedented level of decentralization and security. What is the Internet of Things? Internet of Things refers to technology that enables ordinary objects to be connected to the internet by using sensors, cameras, software, databases, and massive data centers. LOB-4 explain the differences between LAN and WAN and discuss the benefits and drawbacks of cloud computing. What is LAN? A local area network. LAN is a group of connected devices in one physical location, such as a home or office. What is WAN? A wide area network. WAN is a network that extends over a large geographic area and connects individual users or multiple LANs. The internet can be considered a WAN. What is cloud computing and what are its benefits and drawbacks? Cloud computing is the delivery of computing services, including servers, storage, databases. Cloud computing is the delivery of computing services, including servers, storage, databases, networking, software, analytics, and intelligence over the internet, the iCloud. The cloud. Cloud computing is the delivery of computing services, including servers, storage, databases, networking, software, analytics, and intelligence over the internet, the cloud. Its benefits are reduced software costs, improved security, flexible capacity, lower equipment costs, and easier access. The drawbacks of cloud computing are concerns about security, stability, and control of data. LOB-5 evaluate the human resource security, privacy, and stability issues affected by information technology. What effect has information technology had on business management? Computers eliminate some middle management functions and thus flatten organizational structures. Computers also allow employees to work from their own homes. On the negative side, computers sometimes allow information to fall into the wrong hands. Concern for privacy is an issue affected by the vast store of information available on the internet. Finding the balance between freedom to access private information and individuals' right to maintain privacy will require continued debate. Page 606. Key terms: artificial intelligence, AI, broadband technology, business intelligence, BI or analytics, cloud computing, cookies, data analytics, database, data processing, DP, extranet, identity theft, information systems, IS, information technology, IT, Internet 2, intranet, virtual private network, VPN, virus, Web 2.0, Web 3.0. Critical thinking. 1. What information either from your personal life or for your job would you like to receive exactly when and where you need it? 2. What are the implications for world trade given that firms and government organizations now have the ability to communicate across borders so easily? 3. How will the introduction and integration of more and more devices into the internet How will the introduction and integration of more and more devices into the Internet of Things affect your life? Do you think they will widen or narrow the gap between the haves and have-nots, rich and poor people? Putting principles to work. Purpose: to differentiate a good source of information from a bad source. Exercise: there is so much information online. How do you know that you are using a reliable source? How do you know if a source is biased? Search online for the following article: 4 ways to differentiate a good source from a bad source. After reading this short article, go to mediabiasfactcheck.com. Explore the site and then answer the following questions. 1. Can you tell by the site's domain name, i.e. important example, .edu, .com, .org, etc., if it's reliable or not? Explain your answer. 2. Is Wikipedia a reliable source for accurate information? Why or why not? Explain the best way to use Wikipedia, if at all. 3. Do the following sources generally show bias? A. The Wall Street Journal. B. Associated Press. C. The Economist. D. The Guardian. E. American College of Pediatricians. Page 607. Developing career skills. Key: team analytic communication technology. 1. Imagine you have $2,000 to buy or upgrade a computer system for yourself. Research hardware and software in computer magazines and on websites such as zdnet.com. Visit a computer store or shop online to find the best value, list what you would buy, and write a summary explaining your choices. 2. Interview someone who recently bought a computer to use their business. Ask why they bought that specific computer and how it is used. Ask about any problems that occurred during the purchase process or in installing and using the system. What would the buyer do differently next time? What software do they find especially useful? 3. Describe one technology Describe one technological glitch you've experienced and what you did to resolve it. Discuss the consequences of the interruption: lost data, decreased productivity, increased stress. What steps have you taken to prevent a reoccurrence of the problem you faced? 4. Choose a topic that interests you and use 2 search engines to find information about it online. Narrow your search using the tips offered by the search engine. Did both search engines find the same websites? If not, how were their results different? Which engine found the most appropriate information? 5. How does technology affect your relationship with specific businesses and organizations such as your bank, your school, and your favorite places to shop? Does it strengthen or weaken your relationship? Does technology affect your relationship with your family, friends, and community? Take a sheet of paper and write down how technology helps build your business and personal relationships on one side. On the other side, list how technology weakens those relationships. What can you and others do to use technology more effectively to reduce any negative impact? Career exploration. If you are interested in pursuing a career in information technology, here are a few to consider. Find out about the tasks performed, skills needed, pay, and opportunity outlook in these fields in the Occupational Outlook Handbook OOH at bls.gov. Information security analyst plans and carries out information security analyst plans and carries out security measures to protect an organization's computer networks and systems. Computer and information research scientist invents and designs new approaches to computing technology and finds innovative uses for existing technology. Computer network architect designs and builds data communication networks, including local area networks, LANs, wide area networks, WANs, and intranets. Computer support specialist provides help and advice to people and organizations using computer software or equipment. Video Case 1. McGraw-Hill Connect, Applying Tech with Worldwide Technology. It's difficult to imagine going a single day without using some type of technology. This is especially true for today's businesses that depend all This is especially true for today's businesses that depend on all sorts of information technology, IT. Along with storing and sending information, businesses use IT to manage resources, enhance company communication, and provide employee training. But simply buying the latest technology is not enough. Identifying the right technology, using it to effectively fit the organization's needs, and training employees how to use it are challenging tasks. Fortunately, Worldwide Technology WWT can help with all these challenges. With the help of its team of thousands of IT engineers, WWT collaborates with both public and private organizations to discover, evaluate, build, and implement advanced technology systems. At the company's Advanced Technology Center, ATC, businesses can see product demonstrations firsthand or virtualized anywhere across the globe. Much of WWT's work deals with big data, the massive amount of digital information that companies gather about their customer base. From healthcare providers to retailers, modern organizations generate enormous volumes of data that were not available in the past. Unfortunately, many companies cannot devote the time to analyze all that information. That's where WWT's experience and expertise come to the rescue. WWT increases the value of unstructured data by making it accessible and useful. It also helps organizations protect the data through dependable security systems. Analysts at WWT always answer three questions when developing security systems: what's on my network, what is it doing, and should it be? Page 608. Data security is especially critical when companies deal with the Internet of Things, IoT. This refers to technologies that enable objects to connect to the internet using sensors, cameras, software, databases, and data centers. Examples of IoT range from smartwatches and smart speakers to train track sensors. Examples of IoT range from smartwatches and smart speakers to train track sensors that can prevent dangerous derailments. While such advancements can make our lives safer and more convenient, connected IoT devices also leave organizations more vulnerable to sabotage and theft. Even with all the advancements in IT and data collection over the past few decades, we still cannot dispense with human reasoning. Even with all the advancements in IT and data collection over the past few decades, we still cannot dispense with human reasoning. When we collect data, we need to be able to analyze that data and derive useful information from it. Furthermore, when we allow new technologies to gather information about us, we need to know about how to keep that information safe. According to WWT, you should always be smart about how you use your data. Keep security in the front of your mind and plan for security breaches. By staying safe, people can enjoy all the opportunities that innovative technologies have to offer. Thinking it over. 1. Why is big data important in today's business environment? 2. Why do many companies need the services of companies like Worldwide Technology? 3. Do you think companies such as Worldwide Technology will offer strong career opportunities in the next 10 years? Why or why not? Page 609, page 610. Notes. Bonus chapter C, Managing Risk, page 611.